Today I'm thrilled to have our guest here, Chris Dunham, better known as the real estate guy. Chris, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in real estate?
A little bit about myself. Father of two. One's a Marine, one is a daughter who has given us two grandchildren. We have a 5.5-year-old and almost a 3-year-old grandchild. Live in the East Valley. Well, how I got into real estate was because my wife and I were looking for a house, and we were struggling with realtors not listening to what we wanted. So we kind of gave up. We ended up in the mall one day and walked by this company called New Home Concepts. And there we found this lady named Sally, and she kind of answered all our questions and showed us there was a plethora of homes available for our criteria. She kind of kept him on around that she had an assistant, needed some help, things like that. So I was trying to push my wife into it. And she's an introvert, so it didn't work. So I was like, well, hell, I'll do it. And here we are 26 years later, still selling houses.
Yeah, something's obviously working
Right,
well for you.
right.
So you are known as the real estate guy. So tell me how that kind of came about and how you use that sort of like branding to your advantage.
Okay. So the fun thing about that is I was doing an open house in about my 6th, 7th month in the business. And I was wearing a black collar t-shirt and jeans, and every time somebody would walk in the door, they would say, "Are you the owner?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm the real estate guy." So on the way home, I was like, oh, that's a great little thing. So I came up with the little slogan, when you're ready to sell or buy, you call a real estate guy, 602-321-6188.
So your website emphasizes strategy first, that you want a clear plan before listing your home or touring homes
Right.
to potentially buy. So
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit more about that and how it works for you.
From a selling standpoint, it's good to kind of give them a checklist. I have specific videos tailored towards just the home selling process, one of which I send before I actually go meet the clients in person. It's got 11 steps, and it kind of gives you these are the things you need to do so we're market ready. So that way when I come to the home, I can tell if they've watched it, because if all the pictures of their life and stuff was on the walls, they haven't watched it. There's nothing worse than showing a house and seeing all the pictures of them living there, because you just gravitate towards that instead of actually looking at the house, and then you don't remember the house because you focused on their life there. So it's a big thing is take everything off the walls. From a buyer,
Oh, that's awesome. We
Yeah.
do something kind of similar on the moving side.
Right
We
on.
give clients like a checklist
oh good.
week by week as it gets closer to their moving date, so they're able to just make sure they're not missing anything and also getting like the timing right. So
Nice.
nothing's canceled too early
Right,
or
right.
vice versa. You're scrambling at the last
Right,
second.
right. Yeah, it's always fun when you turn the power off and you have to extend a day. Like, oh no!
In this heat, yeah,
Right,
it's not cool.
right?
That
Not a
would
good
not
thing.
work.
Checklists are very important, for sure.
Yes, indeed. So Chris, you really prioritize veterans and first-time home buyers. How does that kind of shape your daily work and your mission?
It's always constantly moving part because you have to constantly be in front of everybody's social media now. So I do a lot of blogging, I do a lot of social media posts about first-time home buyers, the advantage of the programs that are available to them, especially veterans as well. I've worked with a ton of veterans, given back probably over $100,000 in my career. 2 veterans that close at the closing table by contributing a portion of my proceeds to them to help offset costs. Ironically enough, a lot of the big box oriented mortgage companies, they're not always in it for the veterans. I've had 2 that I've had people come to me already approved with, and they're actually bringing money to the table. The kick with VA financing is 0 money to the table. You typically get your earnest money back because it's all covered in the VA financing. So I try to protect veterans more and make sure they understand that aspect of it, as opposed to thinking that that brand or that brand is actually going to hook you up because their name is veterans associated in their name. Not usually the case. They're usually actually charging you money up front and you're bringing money to the table, which you shouldn't have to if you're a veteran. For the first-time home buyers, if there's certain programs available, I can actually get a first-time home buyer into a home for about $3,000 total out of pocket cost, which is fantastic. I also have a lender now that can save you anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 in total fees. So it's kind of a no-brainer. If you got the credit score and meet the criteria, I'm going to save you up to $22,000 just for buying a house with me.
Oh, that's great. And it goes back to what you were saying, like the education portion is so vital and important
Absolutely.
in the home buying process from the very beginning all the way through. So
Yep, makes it a lot smoother.
definitely great tips that you're passing
Yeah.
along. So what would you say throughout your career is like the toughest challenge that you faced with a client or a particular purchase?
I've done some deals recently with families that are getting divorced.
Okay.
So from a listing standpoint, it's difficult, but it's manageable because I have a really good demeanor when I deal with those type of situations. but it can be very hectic because you have both sides kind of screaming at each other, and I'm somehow stuck in the middle. So that's probably been the most challenging thing as far as dealing with people's concern when it comes to making offers and that type of response geared towards more what the market's like. So when the market was crazy, you know, you're getting 15, 20 offers in an hour. That was hard to deal with because you didn't want your clients overspending, you didn't want them waiving appraisals and things like that. So you had to get creative and understand how to approach that for everybody involved to make sure they got the best foot forward in the offer, but then you didn't have to waive all the rights and stuff like a lot of people were doing.
Okay, let's turn things a little bit more light, if you will.
Okay.
Is there a heartwarming story that you have, whether it's working with a veteran or a first-time home buyer or just really anything? Like, tell us something that really moved you as an agent.
The first one that came to mind was this woman named Shantae. It was during the crazy market when the market had crashed, and it was a feeding frenzy for first-time home buyers, just anybody in general. And she had reached out online, I believe it was a lead that came across online, and I called her up like I do with everybody that reaches out. And she was struggling because nobody wanted to work with her because the price point wasn't where most agents at that time would deal with, which is why I looked for first-time home buyers. I don't care how much you spend, my job is to find your house, because in my mind, everybody deserves to own a home. So we actually met at a house. I think I was the third or fourth realtor she had talked to, but I was the only one that was willing to work with her. So we met at a house in Queen Creek. She loved it. Back then, you had all the paperwork with you, so we just sat on the kitchen counter and wrote up the offer. It was a house that was listed within my brokerage, so it was a dual agent situation, even though I wasn't the actual listing agent. I represented her as a buyer. But that was cool. She's still in the house today. I still talk to her to this very day. She champions me quite a bit. She's sending me a lot of referrals and things like that. But the biggest thing about her was she's a single mom, limited income, nobody wanted to work with her, and I didn't have an issue with it because, again, everybody deserves to own a home, so I just stepped and did what I did, and again, that was 2006 or 7, and we're still friends to this day. So those kind of things are what I live for, that rush of getting a first-time buyer into a house and getting the excitement of getting acceptance and giving them the keys. There's nothing that matches that, ever, anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can feel the passion just as you're telling the story.
It's a cool story.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So you've navigated a variety of different neighborhoods between Maricopa and Pinal counties. Like, what is your strategy with working in such a broad, range of markets throughout the Phoenix metro area and beyond?
I'm not afraid to drive. There's so many realtors that just want to stay, in the West Valley or in the North Valley or in the East Valley. I don't care. If you want to buy a house, I'll go where the houses are. So I've done everything from Whitman to Arizona City, all the way up to Anthem, down to Florence. It doesn't make a difference to me. Where you want to live is where you want to live, and my job is to help you find a home in that area. Real estate's the same regardless of where it's at in the valley, whether it's Maricopa, Pinal County. It's a different house, it's a different neighborhood. Process doesn't change. Drive time may increase, but it's what I do.
Yeah, good to know. Everything from horse properties, large acreages, to downtown Phoenix apartments or condos. So if you had to describe your real estate style in 3 words, what would you say to us?
Off the top of my head, I would say energetic, educational, and inspiring.
Okay, yeah, I definitely am getting all 3 of those from you as we speak. Thanks to Chris Dunham. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me here for a little bit. If anyone's watching this and they're interested in working with you, what would be the best way to reach out and contact you?
Google Chris Dunn, the real estate guy. You're going to see everything pop up. It's that simple.
Perfect.
Yeah, or, I can give you all the other stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Well,
simple.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You as
Thank
well.
you.
See you.